All right, guys. This is the 1 year Bible reading by Christian Single Mom. 365 readings of the King James Version of the 1 year Bible. I am doing this on my second attempt because I was sitting here talking to you guys and forgot to put my headphones on so you guys could hear me. Oh boy, it's been a long day. It's been that kind of a day. So we are going to be reading January 16th. This is for 2025. Genesis 32:13 through 34 and 31. And he, Jacob, lodged there at the same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she goats, and 20 he goats, and 100 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 49, and 10 bulls, 20 she asses, and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space of twixt drove and drove. And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and ask thee, saying, Whose art thou, and whither goest thou, and whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is the present sent unto the Lord Esau, and behold, he is behind us. And so command he the second and third, and all that follow the droves, saying, On this manner shall we speak unto Esau, when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and after thee I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me. So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And he rose up in the night, and took his 2 wives, and his 2 women servants, and his 11 sons, and passed over the fort Jabbok. And he took them, and he sent them over to the brook, and sent them over that he had. And Jacob was left alone, and there he wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And he saw that he prevailed not against him. He touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked me and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Therefore, as if thou dost ask after my name. And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And he passed over Peniel with the sun rose up, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh, unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, in the shrew that shrank. And Jacob lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children into Leah, and unto Rachel, and unto the 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over them before, and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran up to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes, and he saw a woman and the child or children, and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children of God hath graciously given thy servant. When the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with their children came near, and bowed themselves, and came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all the strove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother, keep that thou hast made for thyself. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have grace in thy sight, and receive my present in my hand, for therefore I have seen thy face, as though I have seen the face of God, and thou hasn't pleased me with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessings that it is brought to thee, because God hath dwelt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and the herds are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly according to the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure until I come unto my Lord and unto Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee the same of the folk that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him a house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of this place is called Succoth. And Jacob came to Shalom, a city of Shishim, which is in the land of Canaan. And he came from Pandaram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he brought a parcel of the field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shishim's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar, and called it Alahir Israel. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shishim the son of Hamor, and the Havite prince of the country, saw her, he took to her, and laid with her, and defiled her. And his soul clave unto Dinah, and daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel, and spake kindly unto the damsel. And Shishim spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, and now his sons were with his cattle in the field. And Jacob held a peace until they were come. And Hamor and the father of Shishim went unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they had heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. And Hamor communed with them, saying, The soul of my son Shishim longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her him to wife. And make ye marriage with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take your daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us in the land, and shall be before you, dwell in the trade ye therein, and get your possessions within. And Shishim said unto her father and unto her brethren, Let me find grace in your eyes, and what shall say unto me as I will give. Ask me never too much dowry and a gift, and I will give according to ye shall say unto me, but I will give me the damsel to wife. And the sons of Jacob answered Shishim and Hamor and his father deceitfully, and said, Because he hath defiled Dinah, her sister, or their sister. And they said unto them, We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to the one that is uncircumcised, for that we are a reproach to us. But if this is we consent unto you, if we will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then we will give our daughters unto you, and we will take our daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you not hearken unto us, and be circumcised, then we will go and take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Tamar and Shishmi, Hamar's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. And Hamar and Shishim his sons came into the gate of their city, and communed with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in our land, and trade therein. For the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters unto us for wives, and let us give themselves our daughters. Only therein will the men consent unto us to dwell with us, to be our people, if every male among us is to be circumcised, as they are circumcised. Shall not their cattle of their stubbornness, and every beast of their be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. And unto Hamar and unto Shishim his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, and the two of the sons of Jacob, Simon and Levi, Diana's, brethren, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males. And they slew Hamar and Shishim his daughter with the edge of the sword, and took Diana out of the Shishim's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and spoiled in the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, their oxen, their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all of their little ones, and all their wives took their captive, and spoil, even all that was done in the house. And Jacob said to Simon and Levi, If ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of this land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my whole house. And they said, Should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? Matthew 11:7-30. And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, What ye out to the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, that they wear soft clothing are the king's houses. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, the and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist, notwithstanding he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from that days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets of the law prophesied until John. And if he will receive it, this is Elias which was for to come. He hath ears to hear, let them hear. But whoever shall I liken unto this generation? It is like unto children sitting in the markets, and calling unto their fellows, and saying, We have piped unto you, and we have not danced. We have mourned unto you, and we have not lamented. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and say he hath a devil. The Son of Man come eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous and a winebibber, a friend of the publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of her children. Then began he to upbraid the cities within. Most of the mighty works are done, because they repented not. Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, and would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the days of judgment than for you. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted into heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For it is the mighty works which have been done in thee, they have done as Sodom. It would remain until this day. But I say unto you that this is more tolerable than the land of Sodom in the name of the judgment than for me. At that time Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and the prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me, my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father, save the Son, and he to whomever the Son will reveal him. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Psalm 14, 1-7. The fool hath said in his heart, There is no God. They are corrupt, they have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. The Lord looked down from heaven upon his children of men, to see if did not understand and seek God. They are all gone aside, and they are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have all thy workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread, and call not upon the Lord? There were they in the great fear for God. This is the generation of the righteous. Ye have shamed the counsel of the poor, because of the Lord is his refuge. O the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion. Then the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. Proverbs 3:19-20. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. All right, guys. So we are now on January 17th. So, what I really got out of this is something I haven't said yet, but I want to say I think Genesis is probably one of the most difficult books of the Bible to read. I don't understand half of what I just read, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. But I did get that, there's a lot of the giving of wives to multiply and be fruitful. And, that is not something that is acceptable these days. And is actually against God's word. But back then, um, they really had no other choice. It's a way of giving gratitude and service to help one another. It was sometimes done out of respect, only when it says that they defiled someone, that it was against their will. But to think of the culture back then and what was acceptable and honorable to God was out of thankfulness and out of love, to show gratitude towards each other, would they be able to multiply here on this earth? And, times were different back then, but I did understand that it's a sign of reverence to be able to share the things that God has given to us, even back then, to share cattle and then have an inheritance. Um, one thing I want to do, even as a single mom, is to leave an inheritance, not of money for my children, but of love. I want to be supportive in the mates that they choose. I want to love my grandchildren, and I want to be supportive of the decisions in life that my children make. Even when I don't agree with what they do, I want to um, support them in showing them that I am going to follow Jesus Christ. I'm going to set the example to them. I'm not going to live in this world. I'm not going to go outside my marriage vows, the commitments that I made. I'm not going to um, disregard what God has commanded for me as a Christian single mom. And so, back then they had their dowries, they had their inheritance, they had a lot of things that they did back in Bible times that we would question these days. Um, but the same commandments still stay, and they're still strong. The foundation of Jesus Christ, and when he says that we are not to share our wives, um, we are not to separate our families, we are not to leave each other. Now, I did notice that throughout this book of Genesis, there's a lot of times where people are separated. They are sent into the wilderness, whether it's a single mom on her own with her son, or whether it's because someone did something wrong. And, I thank God for my divorce. I thank God that my husband had filed for divorce because we were unequally yoked. We were not on the same level. And um, sometimes God puts us in the wilderness. It's not the decisions of other people, but it's God who wants us to get alone with him. He wants us to grow closer to him. He wants us to focus on him, his voice, small, still voice that he has, to teach us what we need to do and what we need to focus on. And so, with that, I'm thankful that my husband had left me. Um, I think it's still unbiblical what has happened to me, and I always will. Um, I have drawn closer to God during this singleness time that I've had, and I have come to the conclusion that um, the behavior and the way our divorce went was very unbiblical and very hateful and evil. But with that said, I know that God has asked me to turn the other cheek. God has asked me to um, move forward and depend on Him to supply all of the protection that I was to have in my marriage, to provide all the finances that I was to have. Uh, God puts marriages together. And even in the old times, in Genesis here, you can see where God is at work, putting wives with the men that they had as husbands. There's a lot to say in the family values and dynamics that are even in Genesis, even though it may be hard to understand. So I do like that. And then when we were reading in Psalms, I liked how it talked about um, that God's yoke is light when our burdens are heavy. And we are to seek Him, and He will give us rest. And that is one thing I have definitely learned in 2024. I got to a point of the false allegations and the court hearings I was going through my divorce, that I was so completely exhausted, emotionally, physically. I couldn't even um, handle it anymore. I didn't really even think I could live any more longer. I was exhausted physically. My body was killing me. Um, there's been a couple moments where I just feel like, oh, dear God, please come back soon because I can't take this anymore. Um, but God has always had that moment of that fear and that feeling of feeling worthless and inadequate and ashamed. And He has always filled that void within moments of me weeping and begging on my hands and knees, saying, "Dear God, take care of this situation." I mean, within seconds, guys, minutes. Um, I get it all out, and then I would bawl my eyes out and cry and be on my hands and knees in prayer, and then I would just have a sudden peace that would come over me. Um, and now I have a calmness about my singleness. I think it's a growing time where I can grow closer to God, and all I needed to do was ask God to give me that rest that I needed because the world was just too heavy for me. Something else I got out of this passage was how the men were to be circumcised. There's a whole meaning behind being circumcised. It means being clean, it means being separated, and it also means following God's commandments. And so I do understand it when it says that anywhere in the Bible, that it's a very important note to take about how we as Christians are to be separate of this world. We are not to be like everybody else. And I think that's what sets us apart as Christians. And I do also understand that what we just read says we're going to be persecuted for our decisions. And I can say, guys, we better buckle up, get our homes in order, and put on our big girl britches because times are going to get really tough for us Christians and for us single moms. So, with that said, we need to be digging deeper into God's Word. And I want to thank you for listening with me on this podcast. And I will see you in tomorrow night's podcast. God bless and have a good night. Bye.